Construction project along Tyler's West Loop will serve thousands of uninsured East Texans with medical care. Bethesda Health Clinic says they are 90% complete with their capital campaign, which will create a new clinic at the site of an old movie theater. The entire facility, which is about 60,000 square feet, is estimated to cost more than $24 million and serve up to twice as many patients. Demolition has already begun. Once the building is complete, there will be medical, dental, pediatric, and mental health services.
And that's where there's a huge need in this community, getting people into specialists, getting services they need. While we can do about probably 90% of everything they need primary care-wise, it's that other 10% that really impacts whether they can work or not.
And here's a rendering of what the facility is expected to look like, which English tells us is expected to be complete in the summer of 2027. Once they've fully moved in, English says they will be closing their other facilities.